Before we get started, let's talk about the testing process, and all of the photos were taken on auto mode with auto HDR on. Let's start with portrait photos or bokeh, whatever you say. Both of these two smartphones uses their respective telephoto lens to grab portrait, and that makes things better. However, there is a difference in FOV, field of view, cause Xiaomi uses its 2x telephoto lens and OnePlus 8 Pro uses its 3x telephoto lens to grab portrait photos. Now this is the start of many that I will say we cannot truly judge which smartphone performance is better, cause actually depending on condition and ambience, both performs differently. It's not like always one is better than the other. Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra chose to go for a bit overexposure and brightness. On the other hand, OnePlus 8 Pro kept skin tone correct in most of the images. It only gets ugly when OnePlus 8 Pro decides to play with white balance. Skin smoothing beauty effect of Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra makes this a bit soft, but the same applies to OnePlus 8 Pro. At a glance, it looks pretty similar, but let me crop in. Now, can you see the difference? In terms of bokeh effect, both did very good. Creamy bokeh without insane background separation, but in terms of details and textures, OnePlus 8 Pro loses to Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. After checking hundreds of photos side by side, I found some differences, and the main difference is white balance. OnePlus 8 Pro usually keeps the tone cool on white balance during daytime, while Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra goes for slight warmer tone. On outdoor ultra-wide shots, this is a trend, but on main sensor, this is more like a random issue. Dynamic range and details are usually better on Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra, but there are times when OnePlus 8 Pro produces sharper images with wider dynamic range and more details. Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra field of view is wider than any other Android smartphones. It is comparable to iPhone 11 series as both goes to 0.5. On the other hand, OnePlus 8 Pro as usual goes to 0.6, and when you compare side by side, it is clear that Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra can grab more. But sometimes exposure is not that correct on Mi 10 Ultra and OnePlus 8 Pro saturates a bit. Both have their own pros and cons, and a lot depends on personal preferences. However, I would choose Mi 10 Ultra cause it has wider field of view, natural color tone and more details. Let's talk about daytime photos taken with main sensor, and both of these really performs as good as true flagships. Yeah, there is a pro mode on both of these smartphones, and if you have the time then you can switch between options and get a pro shot of your choice. But most of the general users uses the auto mode, and I feel like this represents the true positives and negatives of the smartphones. Both produces truly fantastic photos under good lighting. Brilliant dynamic range, full of details along with superb color rendering. Trust me, even in harsh lighting condition, both performed well. But yeah, once again, there are differences, and I would share with you some major and minor points. I have already talked about white balance. OnePlus 8 Pro usually keeps the tone cool, and Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra has a warm tone. Yes, not in all images, but randomly you will see it on images. In most photos, both are pretty similar, but in some photos you will find drastic differences. It's mainly because of exposure. You will see exposure issue goes back and forth. It's actually pretty surprising because there is no consistency and no trend that you can follow to eliminate this issue. Yeah, some may like what others dislike, and that's why this is all about personal preferences. Next is saturation, and yes, this time it's Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra, and saturation is a bit higher in outdoor photos. We will talk about indoor photos later. After checking tons of outdoor photos, I found that the difference is pretty minimal, but OnePlus 8 Pro color sometimes looks a bit pale beside Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. Yeah, next is dynamic range. In general, OnePlus 8 Pro produced brighter pictures with more details in the shadows. If you know what does it mean, then you know. It seems like OnePlus 8 Pro in general has better dynamic range. But if you take time to grab a picture with manual focus, then Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra performs better. It is very difficult to get to any judgment, but overall I would go with Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra as it performs better when it performs. Yeah, I believe that a lot of you watching this video right now would like the brighter shots on the right. But remember that Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra can get brighter than that. However, sometimes that brightness leads to overexposure. Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra comes with two telephoto lens. One is old school telephoto lens for 2x optical zoom and another is periscope lens for 5x optical zoom. No, OnePlus did not go through that much trouble. They have sticked to one telephoto lens for 3x optical zoom. OnePlus 8 Pro has saturation issue on telephoto lens, and if we crop in, then you can see the differences. There is more details and image on the left is really pretty sharp. Not only that, mid-tones and highlights are far better on Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra image. That leads to natural skin tone and overall images are true to life. Now this is 5x versus 3x. On the left, this was taken with 5x periscope lens and attack lens. Truly, it's pretty difficult to understand how good is that 5x optical zoom image. Okay, let me crop in, and now is it clear? I recommend that you watch this video at least at 1080p to understand the quality and differences. For sure, Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra grabs more details, exposure is better, color rendering and textures. There is no point where OnePlus 8 Pro could put up any fight. If you think it may happen in one or two photos, then you are wrong. It happens almost every time. Almost every time Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra produced better images with telephoto lens. I do not wanna say a lot cause OnePlus 8 Pro is my daily drive and it hurts to see the differences. But what is true and I am here to share the truth. Also, we have to accept the truth. Here this is a set of photos and I have tried to depict the differences. Can you see it? If you are not convinced yet, then I can share one more set. Okay, let us quickly go through another set of photos. Yeah, it's time for indoor ultra-wide shots under artificial light, and once again I feel like I wanna sing Eeny Meeny Miny Mo. Catch a tiger by the toe, if he hollers let him go. Yeah, I wanna sing this because it feels like once on the left and then on the right. This white balance and exposure issue, this is like a random puzzle. Once Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra has the correct exposure and white balance, and then suddenly it's OnePlus 8 Pro to get things in perfect ratio. In terms of details, textures and sharpness, everything is quite similar to those outdoor shots. It would be okay if things were consistent on other factors of these photos, like color grading and rendering, saturation and mid-tones, but no. When I started to take photos in indoor environment with precious main sensor of these two smartphones, both took some sharp turns that made this camera comparison one of the most difficult one. OnePlus 8 Pro randomly saturates and increases contrast ratio, while Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra goes pale and decreases contrast ratio without any fixed trend. Yeah, I cannot say that this issue was there through all the pictures, but once in a while I found these. Not only this, Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra is way ahead of OnePlus 8 Pro in indoor shots. It has more details, cause it managed to process more textures without losing a bit of it, and there is less grains. But one issue hurts Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra, and that is sometimes it fails to detect well-lit areas and fails to maintain proper selective exposure throughout the image. In general, I would say Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra has better white balance, highlights and brightness. But I cannot take any credit away from OnePlus 8 Pro cause sometimes under cool lighting environment it produces fantastic photos. Yeah, I know some Xiaomi fans may say, why are you trying to make OnePlus 8 Pro look better? Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra is really better than OnePlus 8 Pro. Yeah, I agree with you, Mi 10 Ultra is better than OnePlus 8 Pro, at least as far as what we have seen through this video. But there are times when OnePlus 8 Pro performs and I cannot just ignore that. You already know that Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra got two telephoto lens and both performs better than OnePlus 8 Pro. At least we have seen some outdoor daytime photos. And here in indoor low light environment, I don't see any difference. Even things are much better on Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra in indoor low light environment. I'm really surprised and amazed to see. Xiaomi has improved its stock camera with almost the finest algorithm for these telephoto lens photos. You don't have to take my words for it, check these images, I have cropped in to make it more visible. Truly, OnePlus have to do something amazing with their upcoming OnePlus 8T Pro to beat this Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. It's true that sometimes I forgot to add selfie photos and selfie portraits. This time I have asked Daisy to do this selfie thing. No, these images were not taken at the same time. First she took the selfie and selfie portraits with OnePlus 8 Pro and then with Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. There is about 5 minutes time difference. But I don't think that's the factor between the performance difference. OnePlus 8 Pro selfie performance is more natural, skin tone is close to reality, and background have way more details. But the problem is, to keep background in focus and to grab more details in the background, OnePlus 8 Pro lost some textures in subject and exposure is really not that correct, resulting in revealing the ugly truth. On the other hand, AI was enabled on Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra and that ruined originality of the photos. Daisy wanted to make herself look more attractive. Yeah, that's what we do, I mean most of the people do. And that led to somehow lucrative images without enough details and textures. In portrait mode, OnePlus 8 Pro added soft bokeh. It's not that heavy and in some different conditions that make it difficult to differentiate or separate focus and background. On the other hand, Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra did better in bokeh effect. This creamy bokeh effect, I really like this, but that exposure and beautification issues really hurts. Both of these two did well in edge detection. These photos were taken in true low light in our underground car park. The first thing you'd notice is OnePlus 8 Pro white balance and color tone. Yes, it's warm, and Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro reproduced original color tone. It's close to reality and true to life. Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra grabbed more details, processed it with more textures, low noise and grains. OnePlus 8 Pro has better exposure throughout the images and that helps it to process shadows with more visibility. Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra images are definitely sharper and has better color grading. On the other hand, OnePlus 8 Pro tried to smoothen the images to lower the noise and increased contrast ratio to match high exposure. I think most of the people would choose OnePlus 8 Pro, but I don't like that ugly white balance, so I would choose Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra low light photos. Before you bash me with ugly words looking for night mode photos, let me tell you 3 things. Number 1, Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra and OnePlus 8 Pro low light performance is really pretty similar, sometimes it's like identical. Number 2, Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra goes for brightness in most of the occasions, but that doesn't mean added noise and grains. On the other hand, OnePlus 8 Pro keeps things within good exposure and gets more details. So this means there are some differences, but those are not that big. Number 3, I am doing a separate night mode camera comparison between 4 flagship smartphones including these two. So you have to watch that video for detailed night mode performance comparison. I have done this intentionally and recorded the slow motion video in a low light environment. Check carefully how OnePlus 8 Pro recorded and processed this video. Do you see the flicker? Yeah, if you try to record slow motion videos in low light with 8 Pro, then you will find that flicker issue. Nobody knows how to find us. These clips were recorded at 1080p 30 frames per second and definitely OnePlus 8 Pro, lost to Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. Yeah, once again, it's about personal preferences, but I see more details on Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra, exposure is also within range, background isn't washed out, color rendition is almost perfect. Nobody can say that there is any difference in stabilization between these two, but overall Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra did really great. I will not say a word about these 4K 30 frames per second video clips. Whatever the differences or advantages Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra got over OnePlus 8 Pro, I won't record 4K videos with this Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra until and unless Xiaomi updates this stock camera with proper 4K exporting format. Yes, we can fix this manually. I know I can export it to another different REC, but why should I do that? And that's a huge pain. Also, when Xiaomi always claim to be the best, then why can't they just update with the correct export format? Okay, I am happy to see that Xiaomi finally added some kind of stabilization to its front camera. Yes, it has gyro EIS and you can see it looks much better now. I mean, if you have seen those awful selfie videos without stabilization on any other Xiaomi and Redmi smartphones, then you can differentiate. Okay, it's clear that Mi 10 Ultra and OnePlus 8 Pro selfie video performance is pretty similar. I would leave this front camera performance for you. You are the one to judge. Anyway, we are about to wrap up. What do you think about these two smartphones' camera performance? Please share your thoughts and ideas in the comment section and let me know which one is the winner. If you have liked this video, then please don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to this channel.
Start to sail along these ocean waves. Nobody knows how to find us. It's turning out to be a perfect day. I just wanna leave our normal lives behind us.